Another video on the coil siding and fencing nailers. So if you have a DW66 Charlie-1 model for the DEWALT fencing or siding nailer gun, this model has some maintenance requirements that you might want to do when it comes to keeping it for a pretty long time. So I purchased a couple of them at a local hardware store that were used, rented out to customers, um, and they're pretty good commercial grade nailers. And the best one I definitely recommend is really getting the used one is still a good deal. Comparing the parts, if you have to buy and repair, um, I'm gonna show you a couple parts that you might end up replacing along the years when you own some of these guns. They are uh, very easy to repair and replace, and they are pretty much available on original site from the vault. You can go order online, but I recommend to get the original part. So let's get started. Okay, right here, as you can see from the main diagram, what you want to get with this replacement part, what parts I'm going to recommend you to get to replace. Okay, so there are several issues with this gun. For example, this part right here, um, 174054. This is a replacement part. It's made of hardened plastic, and with time, it takes a lot of beating to it, and it is actually a very hard working part. I would say one of the main parts that it's in action, and the second one would be the bumper right here, this guy right here, the 24, part number 24. Well, of course, when you're replacing those, you also need to replace a couple other things along with it. But generally, what you want to replace is this part right here, first one. Okay, so this one can get cracked, and when you shooting the nail, and or you have a compressor connected, and there is a pressure and everything is normal, but the air just running through without stopping, and there is no action, nothing. That means that you have a leak in air, and first thing you want to replace, if well, actually check, is this part right here, because it gets cracked, and that's the main reason the air started losing out, and you want to replace that part first. Okay, so on this diagram, that part is right over here, number 13. It does have a seal as well right there. That's the O-ring you want to buy. When you replace it, it comes with two O-rings. First one is an O-ring. The second one is a plastic sort of cover. It's something like half open sort of thing that also goes on right on this piston. Okay, so don't confuse them. This one has one O-ring on this part right here, one, and then when you're also replacing the piston, you might want to replace that part right there. Okay, so that O-ring right there, you definitely need to replace, and it goes right over here. Okay, that's the first one, and the second one it would be the O-ring on the piston part right here. So I know it's a little bit confusing, but I'm gonna give you the part numbers exactly which one you need to purchase to replace it. Okay, so the very first part number, if you want to replace, do like a maintenance inside, you want to get started with right over here. This one is part 9. Okay, so you're gonna get started with part 9. This is a leather plastic. It's like a plastic knob. It goes on the inside of the cover. So number 9 is going to be your first part. After you take down these 4 bolts, okay, around 1, 2, 3, 4, This one you don't have to mess with it. This is just the air exhaust part. It doesn't do much here, so just keep it, leave it alone. Those parts, anything above this, you don't have to mess with it. So first one is this one right here, part number 9, and you don't need to replace part number 10 because it's a metal spring and it's heavy duty. The next one would be part number 11 right here. This one you want to definitely replace, and then comes part number 12. You might also want to order a new one because what I have found out after several repairs, this one gets worn out as well. It's a metal washer, but it gets worn out as well. And then you got part number 13, as I talked about earlier. That's right there. You want to get replace that one. It's very important to replace it. And then part number 14. Also, you want to get that one as well. This one, this O-ring goes on right there. Okay, so as you can see, there's a gap right there. That's where the O-ring goes. Number 14 goes on the 13. And then part number 15. Well, I see a lot of videos when people repairing their DEWALT tool, and I see them, they're not replacing this gasket, but every time you lose these screws, you're damaging this gasket. Okay, so this is very, very important to replace it because it's gonna start leaking air. And actually, when it's tight pretty good, or in fact it comes from factory, what it does, it's already pressed and it has some gaps in it and stuff like cracks. So you do want to replace part number 15. And then from here you can stop. So you don't need to buy any other the parts here. Okay, another part starts right here. Number 18 and 19. So number 18 is an O-ring. It goes around this piston right here. And this is your piston on the right side, as you can see. This is the piston. What does the action? It actually hits the nail under pressure when you push the right here this lever right here. It releases the pressure from here and it just shoots this one. But here's one thing that you might not want to replace: the piston itself. If you had this gun for a couple of years, the piston should be perfectly fine, but you still want to inspect it, make sure there are no cracks, no damages, nothing. But I definitely recommend you to replace part number 18 and 19. Those are O-rings. So 18 goes first and the 19 is cut in the middle like here. It's going to be plastic piece, so you do want to replace that. Those two parts definitely related to the pressure and compression, so that one you need to replace. We're going to leave the part number 20 if it's good condition, and we're going to leave 21 as well. We're not going to touch those, and we're going to leave 22 and 23 as well. We don't need those parts because they go on right here, so those ones you don't need to mess with it either. And another very important part when I replace it, it actually comes out really hard. But what I did, it's this the part 24 right here, and this is a bumper. Basically, this right here, it hits this bumper every time it goes back and forth. So this part here, 24, and the part right here, um, these two parts are getting hammered all the time. So when you want to replace, definitely 13 and you want to replace 24. And after you do that and replace all the seals, then you should be good to go. This one is kind of hard to take it out. I realize that I'm having a hard time to even take it out with some scissors, or I use like flathead screwdriver and all that. I found another solution. Basically, I just took a very long nail. I would say the one that like goes in the wood, the one with the threads. Okay, not really. Then it's screw. I would say the screw is better. And I screw it with my drill just about an inch into this plastic. And when you screw it, you just take a plier and just pull it from the bottom and it comes out. Okay, so you got to pull it hard and this part comes out. It's just sitting inside, but just remember that the thick part goes underneath, the thin part goes on the top. So this one goes down. Or remember, don't put it sideways, because if you do that, then this piston is going to shoot and they're going to hit the long big part, and it's not going to be proper compression. So just make sure you put this one in the correct direction. So this one, this was all, guys. I mean, this is all what you need to replace. All right, so it's gonna be around like 20-30 bucks, roughly. This is not so expensive for the like. I think this one was like $5-6, and this one was $1. Another one was on 1.99. Another one was on just like $2, but $3. The most expensive part are the big parts. Okay, like this piston might be expensive. This whole cover or this thing might be expensive. But the leather part, the leather gasket, they're very cheap, and I definitely recommend to get one from the DEWALT site. If you have any questions or comments or any issues with your nail gun, just let me know. And I have been repairing this for many years, and I can tell you guys what needs to be replaced. And if you want to do just general maintenance, it's also a good idea to put a little bit of grease, just a little bit, like around this area when it's moving a lot. It's inside the piston, and because it goes back and forth a lot. But of course, you have to use oil, just a couple of drops for your tools, always to keep it oily. And for God's sake, do not use WD-40. It's gonna damage your tool. I've been telling this many years to my my repair videos. I became telling people, do not use WD-40 for those tools. WD-40 is not a lubricant. Okay, I mean it's something that you don't want to use on these tools. I can see people just chucking WD-40 in these tools and messing everything up. WD-40 is actually going to make worse. So you want to use compressor oil, just a couple drops right here in the back where the hose goes, and that's good to go for, like, I don't know, every 2 months, 3 months, and you should be good. All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I'll make another video on different model.